Hello, let's present Archeoastronomy and origins of the timekeeping in the Old World. To start, we need to know some basic cycles and day and night cycle. Then one of the two most important cycles is the 28-day moon cycle, when a moon goes through its phases from the new moon to the first quarter, to the full moon, back to the last quarter, and to the new moon. It takes 28 days, and it always takes that much. Next, one of the most important cycles is the seasons, and in particular, the important parts are solstices and equinoxes, as we see on this diagram right here, as the Earth rotates because of its tilt in this time during the summer. During June 21st, 22nd, we'll have a summer solstice when the day is the longest, night is the shortest. The opposite of it would be winter solstice, when the day is the shortest and the night is the longest. And in between, approximately on September 21st and March 21st, when the day and night equal, we have vernal and autumnal equinoxes. Then we have wanderers as the stars and other celestial objects such as sun, moon, and 5 planets going around the sky, and they were called wanderers. That is why we have 7 days in a week. And lastly, zodiac, as we can see in this diagram, as the Earth orbits the Sun, there are different constellations which we can see during different time of the year, and that is 12 months with the 12 signs associated with each month. So let's move on. Moon phases. We're familiar with this picture of a carving of an artifact found that is dated to 30,000 BCE that shows what is interpreted to be the cycle, the phases of the moon as it goes through all the phases. We can see it right here, and it takes 28 days, and that is the origin of us having 28 days in a month. And the last month that retained its 28 days is February, because if you multiply 28 times 12, it does not come up to 365.25 days. That's why we had to add more days to other months to make sure that we have enough days in a year. Then we have this artifact called the Neber disk, found in Germany. It is dated to approximately 1600 BCE and also shows the moon phases and was used in some sort of a religious ritual. However, because it is a singular discovery, there are still a lot of debates about how exactly it was used. But the obvious part that people did pay attention from the very early on to these cycles, and a lot of early calendars are based on this, because all you need to do is watch the moon cycles and you can easily count 28 days time after time and throughout the year. So let's move on. The second most important part is when ancient people began to pay attention to the solstices and equinoxes. This is the diagram that would be familiar to us if all of you watched the film about Stonehenge, and this shows where the sun would rise and shine its light during the during the summer equinox. We see goes through the heel stone between the slit in one of the larger stones to the altar. However, there is another stone structure in Scotland that is called the Callanish stones, that is dated to about 3000 BCE, that also shows the alignment where you would see the similar effect. Here we also have a picture of Angkor Wat, which is dated much more recent to about 1200 CE. But if you see these 3 structures, it's very reminiscent to a lot of Mayan temples, where you see from a certain vantage point the sun would rise at different over the different structures during the equinoxes, and during the solstices. So here's a picture of a summer solstice where the sun rises over the pinnacle of a temple. So let's move on. And we have zodiac. Zodiac is the division of a sky as the Earth orbits into different sections. This is a Dendera zodiac. We see some of the familiar ones. Here's Leo, here's Taurus, here's Pisces, and this dated to about 200 BCE and possibly earlier. Here we have a very familiar to us. This is from the Beth Alpha synagogue that is dated to 500 CE, and it shows all the familiar signs and division into the 12. Also, the earliest division dates to about 1000 BCE to Babylon, but it was not just there. We know that the Chinese calendar also have 12 years with the 12 associated animals for each year, and that is also based on this cycle. They just assign different animals to different asterisms and constellations. So let's move. And lastly, we have here is early calendars and sky charts. These are the images from the cave in France that we watched videos about, and here are the interpretation of what it is possibly presents, and shows that if it is true, the interpretation, people from early on paid attention to these things. This is a fragment of an Antikythera mechanism that is early computer used to calculate positions of the celestial objects and used as a calendar. And here is a picture of an astrolabe that is dated and apparently to be invented approximately to 300 BCE, and similar to Antikythera mechanism, was used for similar purposes, just more simple. And to wrap it up, we have a page with the sources that were used, and my apologies to make it run through this presentation so quickly. Thank you so much, and have a good day.